October is when the second vaccine is happening in the 18 to 45 category.
Yes, it is.
So should we start?
Come, Anupama, come. Yeah, sure.
Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. We have with us Mr. Vishwas Patel, ED at Infibeam Avenues, as well as Purvesh Parikh, Head of Finance, joining in. Welcome to the show, gentlemen, and a pleasure to speak to you. Vishwas, let me come to you first. Firstly, congratulations on the spectacular set of numbers that we've seen, good growth that has come in as well. If you could just help us understand overall from last March 2020 to now, how has the entire journey been with COVID, with how it has been impacting business, etc.?
So there are a lot of positives for us, at least in the digital payment industry in this pandemic. So if you see the overall, what demonetization was a big push for digital payments. I think this COVID pandemic helped further escalate it, because we saw a lot of new businesses coming in. Businesses we never thought will adopt this kind of a digital way of working. Like even today, we are doing a Zoom call so easily, sitting wherever we are. So from that perspective, even the whole way of meeting and doing transactions, we saw so many school teachers started taking online tuitions and collecting payments online. We saw so many doctors doing consulting online. We saw so many businesses, be it in varied sectors, from not only education and health fraternity, but even small vegetable vendors to others adopting digital payments. So overall, the growth has been fantastic for us, and it's reflected in our results. I think Purvesh can quickly get for your audience where we were last quarter or first quarter of last year vis-a-vis us. So you can have a very good comparative analysis. But
Absolutely.
Other problem is little bit problem is on the core merchant stand that we traditionally had. So hospitality and travel was the core, because 46% of all e-commerce was travel related pre-pandemic, right? So because booking a hotel or an airline ticket on an online direct was never a challenge. It's easy, no touch and feel. So those were our traditional strong points where we powered payments for 22 airlines, 2,000 odd hotels. So you name from Taj Group to Oberoi to ITC to Lemon Tree to other small brands that are there. We powered payments, and that all came to a stop. All bookings, everything came to a stop. But it was the emergence of these other categories which is there. And now in the second phase, during the first quarter, those sectors were still affected. The hospitality travel, because you saw April, June, what a horrific situation was there, specifically in Delhi. People was dying without oxygen and other things. So now, but the other part of the whole country came back. So we are just waiting for the travel to restart in a quarter from now. And then that will further boost our already fast growing volumes and other things.
Right. So Purvesh, to expand on what Vishwesh has said as well right now, gross revenues more than doubled on a year-on-year basis. Our GEM quarterly TPV is at an all-time high. Our payments TPV has doubled. And we've almost added on an average more than 1,500 merchants on a daily basis. What has led to this kind of performance, number one? And is something like this sustainable going forward? Or do you think it will just be much better if you have to take the next 1 year into consideration?
I think what we saw last quarter in Q1 was when digitalization was not yet accepted in its best form in the last quarter. So once the COVID actually set in, what we have seen is a lot of merchants have started accepting digitalization as the way of doing their business. So the primary way of doing business itself has become the digital platform. So versus the last quarter, this quarter, what we've seen is, despite the lockdowns and despite the curfews and despite the second wave that we saw, our TPV actually quarter on quarter and year on year phenomenally grew, as you can see on the screen right now. It grew more than 170% year on year. The same quarter of last year, we actually saw a dip. So what we have actually seen is the adoption of the digital culture is setting in. Merchants are accepting that the uncertainty surrounding the COVID and almost every business facing the possible third wave of COVID, which could set in. I think the journey of digitalization has already begun, and which is why we are seeing an enormous influx of merchants registering on the platform. Last 6 months, we've added nearly 1,500 to 1,700 merchants on a daily basis on our platform, which is phenomenal.
Merchants, so 135,000 verified full KYC merchants
Wow.
on the platform in 90 days. So you
That's
understand
phenomenal.
the hard work our team did to onboard this kind of a merchant base within such a short time.
So I think our journey has already begun. I think demonetization was the first shot in the arm for the entire digital economy to grow. COVID has only been an accelerator. What US, China, and a couple of other developed countries started as an internet revolution about 25 years ago, I think we are seeing that happening only just about a couple of years back. So we are already on an accelerated journey. And maybe next 10 years is like a big exponential growth for India on the digital platforms.
Right. So overall, right now, when we see the breakup as well in terms of TPV by industry, we have education, government, insurance, utility, which backs the maximum, that's 49, followed by IT, telecom, grocery, financials. And then you have retail, travel, ticket, hotel, which is the remainder, 15 to 18%. Going ahead, are we expected to see any change in terms of the revenue mix once again when things start to open up?
What we think is the traditional industry, which is the education, government, insurance, utility, all these sectors initially were not there online. They had a presence, definitely they had a presence, but they were not as much penetrated and they did not have a business model surrounded by digitalization. So I think that trend will continue, where the traditional sectors themselves will adopt to a digital business model. And the new sectors, especially the retail, the grocers, aviation, travel, tourism has already been online. So these sectors will continuously start improving going ahead. So retail, grocery, delivery, all this will expand. Education sector is going up very big time. I think Vishwas Bhai can confirm about 1 million schools, Vishwas Bhai, isn't it, are still underpenetrated. They are not yet digital.
Yeah, so we have a database of almost 1 million schools who are still not collecting fees online or conducting classes online. So that's a huge upfront market which is underpenetrated right now. And the 12% that you see in the travel, right, that will again come back to normal by around, we expect by Q2 end of this year, where that 12% will again grow to around 40% where it traditionally was, right? Because those are the sectors like not only hospitality, travel, but even entertainment for say. All the cinemas are closed as of now. All those things, that thing starts happening, then that's where we are on a very, very strong wicket there also. So our overall mix on the gross revenue and the net earnings will definitely improve because traditionally education and utility payments have a flat MDR kind of a thing. So that's why the gross revenue does not grow vis-a-vis as much as the TPV that we are processing. But when these sectors that come in where, for a credit card, we get almost a 2% interchange, right? Then the overall scenes charge changing and the profitability also increase massively, and as well as the revenues.
Hiral. Yeah. One data point I'd like to add on what Vishwas Bhai just mentioned on the utility side, when our volumes were lower, especially the bill payments that we do about last year, our bill payments volume itself has grown 5x. And more importantly, because of the volume that has set in, the gross margins have improved 3 times in the last 1 year alone. So that itself is a phenomenal achievement in the utility. So as the volumes grow up, these margins and all profitability itself will start growing.
Correct. So overall, if you go to see in terms of where, the transaction processing value goes, the transaction volumes go, we've mentioned that 220 million is the kind of transactions we are expected to do, taking the Q1 FY22 run rate as well. Do you think that's something which is a very realistic target? And number two, or do you think this is the base minimum that we're looking at, and there is a possibility that we could exceed our own expectations as well?
I think when we started the quarter in Q4, when we were doing our earnings call, we were expecting our volumes to be somewhere around 180 to 200 million range. But I think with the kind of, like I said, this quarter has been unlike the last quarter in the pandemic, where the digital acceptance is very high. So our first quarter volume at 55 million was itself above our expectation. And, we've already onboarded FASTag and a couple of other more merchants on our platform. So once the mobility in the country also increases with people traveling and all, I think these transactions will go up even further, and it could exceed even our expectation of 220 million.
So let me put in perspective, Hiren, that today, if you see the throughput for our payments and platforms, right, we are at a 28 billion run rate.
Correct.
We expect to go to around 100 million in the next 2 to 3 years max. That's an internal goal that is there. But you know how things are. But the way this thing grows, it's so scalable, right? If you see how we have grown here with a 28 billion year US dollar kind of processing and on run rate right now, to what we have done in UAE, where we are at 2.75 billion AED processing volumes, right? And if you look at, we have zero debt, we are profitable. And when you look at our other compatriots also, like if you see Paytm, Bernstein report says that their throughput is around 52 billion, right? And of course, they're still not profitable yet. And this thing, but Vishwas, you put us in that comparison also. We are at a 28 billion run rate, zero debt, profitable and growing in multiple sectors in multiple countries also.
Correct.
So perspective, and when you look at the market cap, we are size sort of less than $1 billion, right? So that kind of anomaly still is something we are trying to ponder. What more should we do to get that, to correct that image that is there right now? How do we get and portray that kind of work that we are doing, the kind of onboarding of merchants, the kind of processing, that kind of scalability that we have, the different kind of platforms, and even our investment thesis. If you've seen, like through our platform and payments, we are doing so many things right now across our payment processing, the back-end bank processing. I can show you a slide how we are looking at it. If you look at this slide carefully, Rain, that CC Avenue payment stack, which is generating this volumes with our platforms and other things. So vertically for the growth right now, we are looking at the retail, we are looking at offline POS also, not just a QR code, but the new phone machines, POS terminals, and we're also looking at tap on phone, which is a new technology that is coming in, which will move the physical POS away. Anybody in a remote village or in any town can just download our CC Avenue app in any village from an app store and just start accepting payments with just credit card being tapped on the phone, right? So that's the retail, this thing that we are working on. On the corporate, we have built an entire new platform called B2Biz, where entire vendor registration, vendor payouts for all the big corporates, like even we do it for HUL, we are doing it for Bisleri, all their vendor payouts, all their collections, everything is being handled out there, right? And for the banks, just we gotta have a big technology play. It's called CPGS. It's called CC Avenue Payment Gateway Service. So it provides the entire switch and a white label in the bank brand to offer acquiring services in the region. So we launched this product in Oman. Oman's biggest bank, which has 90% market share, Bank Muscat, is using CC Avenue Payment Gateway Service. The number 2 bank there, Bank Dhofar, is also using our solution. Even here in India, the corporates like Jio Mart, when it wants to onboard almost 1 crore kiranas, will be using our CPGS platform to do it. So it's a full-fledged strategy for all verticals that we have, right? And then this full cart or stack that we have, we are putting a horse before the cart. That is the platforms. So that platforms, if you put that entire like a Builder Bazaar, like the GEM platform, for the government marketplace, which powers the entire technology. Any central government procurement, right, will go through the GEM platform. Today it's at 1 lakh crore. it will grow to 7 lakh crores a year. Entire central government procurement will go. Government is really pushing it. Every day you will see one article on GEM coming in the papers. The way it works is that any government officer who buys through GEM, there will be no CAG audit. So that's of mind to buy it through GEM. Otherwise, he takes 10 signatures of his seniors so that tomorrow nobody says that you have earned taken money to buy that. From the seller's perspective, the platform guarantees the money so that he does not have to go and grease the palms of the officials to get that money, right? To get his money for the product or services delivered, right? So GEM is that powerful. It's like the big marketplace for the government procurement. Then there is, of course, GeoMart, the entire platform that GeoMart is coming on the 3P and to all this thing is being powered by a company. We have Bill Avenue, which works under the Bharat Bill Pay. It's a license from RBI, a very exclusive license that we get to work with all the billers. So that's what Bill Avenue is. Usually, there are 2 crore bills generated every day in the country. Be it your municipal tax, aqua tax, property tax, or you name it, anything, mobile bill, 2 crore bills are generated. This Bill Avenue brings a consolidated single platform where all these things will come in. Similar platform is Res Avenue, where we build the entire booking engine and the channel distribution, inventory distribution worldwide, and a payment gateway. So what this platforms does is that it gives stickiness with us with the merchants, because merchants, if any new payment gateway VC funded guy comes in and says that I will give you below cost, but he said that who will give me the whole platform ahead? So that's why platform builds stickiness. It gives us enhanced margins. That's why this full stack of platform and payments play. Globally also, if you've seen Alibaba with Alipay, eBay with PayPal, Rakuten with Rakuten payments in Japan. So that's the whole world. This is a thesis that is there. Yeah.
Right. So going ahead, Vishwas, overall, if you go to see in terms of segments of business, which are the ones which are going to be growth drivers for us?
Right now, look, payments is such a thing. So what is commerce? Simple. Any product or services sold and payments made. So wherever that any payments made, we want to be there. Whether it's a student paying to a teacher or a guy going to paying his gym fees or anything, we want to be there. So payment is it's a so integral part of commerce, right? So all sectors will come in. As I said, 1 million plus schools are not digitized till now. And if you see the overall digitization, we're still at 23%. There's a huge headway of almost 77%, which is still not digitized in the country, right? And if you see, there are only 5 or 6 players going after it right now. So we're looking at expanding the market, building different solutions for different verticals so that those verticals can come easily online and start collecting payments using all kind of methodology, whether they are paying through a POS, through a QR code on the merchant's app or through a payment link or on the website, anywhere here. Any collection is to be done, be it for even stock advisory, to name it, we should be able to power it. So the whole idea in payments is that you cannot say that this category. Earlier we had fixed ones, like, during Valentine Day, NRI crowd will come in to gift all those Valentine gifts, or during peak season, this travel will pick up during May and December. So now it is open. Every kind of new verticals this pandemic has thrown up is a surprise.
Correct. Right. So with this, another aspect is that you're planning AI-based lending as well through tie-ups with banks and NBFCs. Yes. If you could just help us with more information on that.
So next big mothership is, of course, lending. Now, when we look, if you go out and try to do traditional lending here, you will not find good data, right, about small merchants, be it of these things. So lending is of 2 types. There is consumer lending and there is SME, MSME and corporate lending, right? We are very focused that we are going to be an aggregator for consumer lending, where we will not do business, but we'll aggregate all those who give it, like say buy now, pay later kind of thing. There are 8 to 10 providers, like there is Bajaj Finserv, there is Simple, there is Just Money, we'll integrate all those and put it as a payment option on a merchant's website where they can choose, and we will make our money upfront. We will not do the lending to the end consumer of say 3,000 rupees or 4,000 rupees, because we know we don't have the capability to go after consumer lending. If I have to collect a 4,000 rupees from a guy in Jabalpur to Ahmednagar to Itanagar. I don't have the capability to go back and take that money, nor does it make business sense to spend that kind of money in collections. Because collections is a big thing, and we don't like NPAs. We are a profitable company. That's a DNA. So we will accumulate and earn on transaction fees on all these consumer lending that are there in multiple forms. There's working capital, there is a buy now pay later, there is EMIs who wants to convert it instantly and all that stuff, right? So on that part we will be there. On the corporate SME, MSME where we score, because these are our direct merchants, we have a full track record, how much payments, how this 50,000 crores that has been processed by us in 90 days, who has done what is their track record, and that kind of intelligence is something within our systems, right? So to do a very clear, simple, what do you call a lending, right? It becomes a more easier and better, because lending is all about how much you don't lose money, more than how much you make money, right? In NPAs. And the strongest person will be the ones who has the best algorithms, data. You put in AI and machine learning to find out and slot through all those data and see who is valid till what amount. And you can give those kind of lending with our banking partners and NBFCs and of course all those guys. So now across this, we have 3 million plus merchants processing this 50,000 crores rupees of transaction in 90 days. And that kind of data incentive to do that kind of lending. We already started with the low hanging fruit called express settlement. Currently, that lending, we are already on a run rate of, what is the run rate right now, Purvesh? Exact figure?
50 million plus.
Yeah, $50 million plus lending is already started. That is within the part of that express settlement. Apart from that, the other kind of working capital that is required, like say, we have one CC Avenue merchant is also selling on GEM. Now we know that a CUG complex in Assam, he has won the bid to supply 1,200 ACs, 2-ton split ACs there. Now we know he'll need a working capital for 35-40 days of 20 lakh rupees to fulfill that order. He is based in Valsad, Gujarat, right? And he has to supply to Assam complex there somewhere in Imphal, right? So we know that what he requires and what is there. And I think with that kind of informed knowledge that you have, makes us do a better lending mechanism instead of relying on traditional, whatever the credit bureaus that are there in the country, and they are kind of credit risk scoring, versus we know that the GEM platform will guarantee him the money, right? That will come in, and we know that we have to monitor his supply. So that kind of working capital and that kind of lending, even our merchants who are continuously doing, like we have an agent network. How they work is they have to prepay to their main what we call it as a agent institutions. So like if I am a small shopkeeper in a outside a railway station, right, where I put up the board, यहाँ पे bill भुगतान कर सकते हो, train ticket booking कर सकते हो, right? You'll find thousands across the country. These guys have to prepay to the agent institution of 10,000 rupees, and then when the customer comes in, it gets deducted from there, and he takes the cash from the customer, and the bill is paid through his balance that is there. Now, if we are able to give him lending, maybe in a day he can churn out 4x. He can do 40,000 if we give him immediate settlement to his AI on his behalf. So maybe he can take more customer bills and do more business. And he doesn't have to block his 10,000 rupees that is just there. He can do 40,000 ka business. But this is informed because cost of funds is going to be very minimal for him. But the margins that he makes on that bill collections is far more than that is there. So this kind of knowledge and that data and that informed decisions that we can make with our algos and other things is far superior. That is not there anywhere in the industry.
Right. So overall, very lastly, in terms of growth, when we accommodate this segment of business as well, what's the next milestone we are looking to cross in the next 2 to 3 years?
So we are very clear. Look, our merchant base should go 2x in the next 2 years with the kind of aggressive growth that we are looking in, and newer markets that are also looking in. We are also looking, as I said, the processing volumes to grow from the current $28 billion run rate to around 100 billion in 2 to 3 years time, right? And we are also looking at increasing the lending book to close to around $300 million in the next 2 years. We don't want to rush so much. We want to do very safe and secure. That's the way we are looking at it, and take informed decisions and look at low-hanging fruits with negligible NPAs and go after those markets where you can make money and go after that. So that's the way we are looking at it right now, our internal goals here.
Absolutely.
And this is very much possible because penetration itself in India is just about 200 million digital users, while we have more than 1 billion addressable population in this market. Plus the overall digital payment size itself is still currently offline and online put together is about 300 billion. You ask about China, they talk about trillions of dollars.
Correct.
So I think the headroom of 85 to 90% is still there to be captured in India. Put together our international expansions and foray into lending and all, I think there is enormous growth ahead of here.
Absolutely. The opportunities seem to be immense, and seems you are running in the right direction as well.
Right. If you look at the other way also, look, traditional business like say arbitrage business like Infosys or Wipro, where you have a cost arbitrage with what you pay in the West versus this, there you have to add more and more people to get, once you get a say $100 million contract, how to service that, you need to expand that base, and that salaries and the tech also goes in. You won't believe across all this what we do, like 50,000 crores, the entire all our suite of products and everything, our staff strength is less than 650 people, right? And the growth can go is not dependent on the people. We have a very accomplished, very trained, very experienced 2-decade experienced teams in this build. But you build solutions which are so massively scalable with new innovation and things that it will scale automatically. The profitability and everything will come automatically.
Absolutely. So the model improves.
Like a factory, you put raw materials, and that side, other side comes in. It's a different mindset that is required by the investing domain.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vishwas. Thank you, Purvesh, so much for joining us on the show. Great insights. Congratulations once again. Good luck. Stay safe, and we should speak soon again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good day. Bye.